Winston Hubert McIntosh was born October 19, 1944, and died on September 11, 1987, professionally known as Peter Tosh, was a Jamaican reggae musician. Along with Bob Marley and Bunny Wailer, he was one of the core members of the band The Wailers, 1963 to 1976, after which he established himself as a successful solo artist and a promoter of Rastafari. He was murdered in 1987 during a home invasion. Peter Tosh was a Jamaican reggae musician and singer who had a net worth of $1 million. Early life. Peter Tosh was born Winston Hubert McIntosh on October 19, 1944, in Grange Hill, Jamaica. His parents, Alvera Coke and James McIntosh, abandoned him, so he was shuffled among relatives. When Peter was 15 years old, his aunt passed away, and he subsequently moved to the Trenchtown area of Kingston, Jamaica. Tosh began learning guitar after he spent half a day watching a man play the same song and memorized everything he saw the man's fingers do. Peter then picked up the man's guitar and played the song. During the early 60s, Tosh studied with Joe Higgs, a vocal teacher who offered free music lessons. Through Higgs, he met Bob Marley, born Robert Nesta Marley, and Bunny Wailer, born Neville O'Reilly Livingston, and they began singing together in 1962. Higgs taught them how to harmonize, and the trio often played on the streets of Trenchtown. Personal life. At the time of his death in 1987, Peter was in a relationship with Andrea Marlene Brown. Tosh has several children, and his son Jawar McIntosh died in 2020, 3 years after being attacked in jail by inmate Kyrie Sharon Baum. Peter's daughter Niambi McIntosh is the administrator of his estate. In 1973, Tosh and his girlfriend, Yvonne, were driving home when his car was hit by a vehicle that was being driven on the wrong side of the road. Yvonne was killed in the accident, and Peter's skull was severely fractured. Tosh was a devotee of Rastafarianism, along with Bob Marley and Bunny Wailer, and the three men were baptized in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Peter was interested in unicycles, and he often rode onto the stage on a unicycle during his concerts. Career. In 1963, Peter, Bob, and Bunny formed the Wailing Wailers, and singers Junior Braithwaite, Cherry Smith, and Beverly Kelso soon joined the band. Tosh was initially the only member of the band that could play any instruments, and since he taught himself to play guitar and keyboards, the other members were inspired to learn to play instruments. The group had a hit with the 1964 ska single Simmer Down and recorded many more successful songs before Braithwaite, Smith, and Kelso left in late 1965. The band released its debut album, The Wailing Wailers, in 1965, and it featured singles such as Love and Affection / Teenager in Love, One Love / Do You Feel the Same Way Too, and What's New Pussycat / Where Will I Find. By the time the group released the 1970 album Soul Rebels, the three original members had shortened the band's name to The Wailers. Soul Rebels and 1971's Soul Revolution Part 2 included some of the earliest reggae songs that became well known, such as Duppy Conqueror and Soul Rebel. The Wailers released the albums Catch a Fire and Burnin' in 1973. Catch a Fire was certified gold in the UK, and Burnin' went gold in the US and silver in the UK. Stir It Up from Catch a Fire and Get Up, Stand Up and I Shot the Sheriff from Burnin' were certified silver in the UK. Get Up, Stand Up reached number 49 in New Zealand and was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1999. I Shot the Sheriff reached the top 10 in 9 countries, topping the charts in Canada, New Zealand, and the US. Peter and Bunny both left the Wailers in 1974. Tosh released his first solo album, Legalize It, in 1976, and it reached number 54 on the UK Albums Chart and number 199 on the Billboard 200 chart. The album went platinum in the US, and it was featured in the book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die, 2005. His next album, 1977's Equal Rights, peaked at number 146 on the Billboard 200 chart and was certified gold in the US. Peter's third solo album, 1978's Bush Doctor, was certified gold in the Netherlands and reached number 34 on Australia's Kent Music Report and number 104 on the Billboard 200 chart. That album featured performances from Mick Jagger and Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones. During Marley's 1978 One Love Peace concert, Tosh lit a joint and spoke about legalizing cannabis, criticizing dignitaries Edward Seaga and Michael Manley, who were in attendance, for failing to enact legislation to make it legal. A few months later, Peter was apprehended by authorities when he was leaving Kingston's Skateland Dance Hall, and he was beaten while he was in the custody of the police. In 1979, he released the album Mystic Man, which reached number 72 on Australia's Kent Music Report and number 104 on the Billboard 200 chart. The 1981 album Wanted Dread and Alive reached number 91 on the Billboard 200 chart and number 40 on the Billboard Top R&B/Hip Hop Albums chart. Tosh took a break after 1983's Mama Africa, which was his most successful album on the Billboard 200 chart, peaking at number 59. His final studio album, No Nuclear War, was released in 1987 and posthumously earned him a Grammy. Death and Legacy. On September 11, 1987, 3 men on motorcycles came to Peter's Jamaica home and demanded money. Tosh said that he didn't have any on him, and the men subsequently tortured him in an attempt to get money. A few of Peter's associates came by to visit him, and they were taken hostage. One of the gunmen, Dennis Lepo Laban, had previously been befriended by Tosh, who had tried to help find him a job after a jail sentence. After Peter insisted that he had no money in the house, the men opened fire and shot him twice in the head, killing him at the age of 42. Disc jockey Jeff Free I. Dixon and herbalist Wilton Doc Brown were also killed, and several others were injured, including Andrea Marlene Brown, Tosh's common-law wife. Laban surrendered to the authorities, and 2 other men were questioned but weren't publicly named. Laban pleaded innocent during his trial, but he was found guilty and sentenced to death. In the mid-1990s, his sentence was commuted. Another suspect was acquitted because of a lack of evidence. After his death, Peter's estate was meant to be split equally among his 10 children, but in a 2014 lawsuit, his daughter Aldrina McIntosh alleged that her youngest sibling, Nyambi, hadn't paid her or their other 8 siblings a cent in royalties for the past 5 years, according to page 6. In 2015, Nyambi declared April 20th International Peter Tosh Day, in honor of her father's philosophy of responsible cannabis consumption for medicinal and spiritual health benefits. In 2016, the Peter Tosh Museum opened in Kingston, Jamaica, on what would have been Peter's 72nd birthday. Awards and nominations. Tosh earned 2 Grammy nominations for Best Reggae Recording, winning for No Nuclear War in 1988. His other nomination was for Captured Live, 1985. In 2012, he was posthumously honored with Jamaica's Order of Merit, which is awarded to people who have achieved eminent international distinction in the field of science, the arts, literature, or any other endeavor. In 2023, Peter was posthumously awarded the Order of the Companions of O. R. Tambo, which the President of South Africa grants to foreign citizens who have promoted South African interests and aspirations through cooperation, solidarity, and support. Continue resting in peace, Peter Tosh. Thank you for watching, and kindly subscribe, like and share this video to family and friends.